everybody, how's it going? So yesterday is a new film. It's kind of a romantic comedy fantasy sort of a film directed by Danny Boyle and written by Richard Curtis. And it stars Himesh Patel as a character named Jack Malik, who's a struggling musician. And one night there's a global power outage for 12 seconds and this guy is riding his bike, gets hit by a bus, and when he wakes up he's sort of in this alternate reality where nobody in the entire world can remember who the Beatles are. Except for our good friend Jack, who, just happens to be a huge fan, knows all their songs, and claims their work as his own. So through doing so, he becomes a very successful musician and is kind of torn between whether he needs the fame and the glory or the girl, played by Lily James. So when the trailer for this movie came out, I was really intrigued. Look, I'm not that big a Beatles fan. I know they're the greatest band in existence, but I'm just sort of take it or leave it. But I do like movies that have a unique concept like that, like a Twilight Zone kind of a twist. And this movie really sold it to me in the trailers. I like this idea that the whole world just, for whatever reason, doesn't remember the Beatles. And aside from that, I'm a really big Danny Boyle fan. I mean, God, this guy has done so many great films, from Slumdog Millionaire, the two Trainspotting films, 28 Days and Weeks Later. Like, this guy has done a ton of great films. And Richard Curtis is just one of the greatest screenwriters of all time. This guy's done things like the Bridget Jones' Diary, 4 Weddings and a Funeral, Love Actually, which I love, no pun intended, and some great TV stuff like Mr. Bean and Blackadder. So that was a really good, force to be reckoned with as far as a writer-director duo. So as far as things I liked about this movie, well, yeah, the directing was amazing. Danny Boyle just has this certain style to his work that he's one of those directors who you could watch a movie that was done by him and know it was him without seeing his name anywhere on it, just because of his style. And he brought that style to this film, which I really enjoyed. And I'm talking things in terms of like his framing of certain shots and just his storytelling technique with flashbacks and things. Like, yeah, it was very much one of his films. I thought the cast was amazing. The acting all around, like the directing, acting, everything was really on point. Himesh Patel, this is his first major film role and he absolutely cracked this one. He sort of reminded me of an Indian version of Russell Brand in a way. Not as over the top as Russell Brand, but I don't know, there's something about his facial structure and stuff that just sort of was brandish. Lily James is always a treat. She was, of course, last seen in Baby Driver. Look, anytime she's on screen, yeah, I'm in my happy place. We also had Kate McKinnon in this film, who, she was funny, but I just felt her character wasn't really that well fleshed out. She was just kind of a stereotypical LA manager who wanted to sell a product, in other words, this guy, and make as much money as possible. And yeah, I just thought she was almost like a caricature of that type of character. And we also had Ed Sheeran in this film, delivering some of the more funnier lines, I must say, and some of the sort of funnier scenes. Yeah, he was playing himself in this film, and yeah, he was great. And overall, this was a really feel-good film. Despite not being a big Beatles fan, I found my foot tapping through a lot of the songs, and yeah, just like I said, yeah, the whole concept was really well done. It was well executed. But while I liked the way that they handled the plot, at the same time, it didn't offer anything really in terms of dramatic conflict. There's no adversity in the film. Like, you just sort of watch this guy stealing the Beatles music and, watching his star escalate. And yeah, there is the whole thing where he's torn between, does he want the fame or does he want the girl? But it's not till sort of much later on, and you're just kind of watching him go through the motions through the film. And, while that was perfectly entertaining, and the first 2 acts I thought were hilariously funny, the third act kind of lost a bit of comedic steam. But yeah, while it was entertaining, yeah, there was just nothing really to sort of, get behind this guy and hope he overcomes, adversity and triumphs or anything. Because, yeah, it's kind of watching him do his thing. And not only that, I thought the film was a bit long as well. Like, it goes for 2 hours and it felt like a 2-hour movie. Yeah, I really felt they could have chopped some scenes out of this thing and made it a 90-minute film. But if they'd done something like having this guy like stealing the Beatles music, but then going through this inner conflict where he's wrestling with this idea of having stolen someone else's music and, you know, having this big moral crisis and stuff. Like, that would have been a bit more compelling, you know, but yeah, they didn't do that. And I've got to implore anyone who has seen this film, there's a scene in this film involving John Lennon, and I swear to God it was Robert Carlyle playing him, who, of course, has been in quite a few Danny Boyle films now, but I'm watching him. At first I thought, wow, that looks like John Lennon, but then as I'm watching him, I'm like, no, that's Robert Carlyle. But there is nothing anywhere on the internet that suggests it was him. He wasn't in the credits. He's not credited anywhere, but I am so sure that was Robert Carlyle. So if anyone out there has seen the film or knows anything about that, please, I've got to know, because that's one of those things it's going to stop me from sleeping, and I love sleep. But anyway, back to the film. Look, yeah, like I said, it's worth checking out. It's harmless enough. It's not the sort of film I'd really feel compelled to watch again. I might buy it if it was like in a cheap bin, you know, like 3 for $30 or something like that. I'd say if you're a really big Beatles fan, this movie will probably appeal to you more. So yeah, if you're a really big Beatles fan, definitely go out and check it out. For the rest of everybody, look, yeah, it's probably worth a rental or something, or, you know, a Netflix thingy. But since it was really well acted, really well directed and shot and everything, yeah, look, I liked it. I'm going to give Yesterday a 7 out of 10. Alrighty, thank you very much for checking out my review of Yesterday, and if you've seen it, what did you guys think of the film? And yeah, please, if you think that's Robert Carlyle, just let me know. And stay tuned, because coming up this Friday night, I've got a screening of Spider-Man Far From Home to go to, so I'll be reviewing that as soon as I possibly can. And in the meantime, if you have seen Yesterday, let me know what you thought of it. Drop me some comments either here, Facebook, or Twitter. All the social media links are in the description below, because I like to talk about movies, and I would love to talk about movies with you. Catch you next time.
Click subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest movie reviews. Skynet will be taking over any day now, so what have you got to lose? Nyah.